Indiana man who threw Molotov cocktails at the police and broke windows in downtown Portland, including the Historical Society, he is sentenced to 10 big ones in prison. Good. Get him off the streets, get him into a cell where he belongs so he can cool his jets and think about the implications of his actions and maybe come up and reimagine and rethink his future, not at these riots creating this kind of disturbance. How about that? What about that? I think you're going to find this one interesting from the standpoint of you got a judge that's pressing this guy. It's like, yeah, you're a pretty smart guy. What are you doing? And the guy goes, I don't know. I wasn't being heard. And so I, throw a Molotov cocktail at a police officer, police car. Who does that? I don't feel like I'm being heard sometimes. No, I don't. I get heard all the time. Now, there are some times where, you're having a discussion with somebody or something. This guy on a greater scale, he just felt like he wasn't being heard. All right. There's a lot of people who, are frustrated that maybe their position in life isn't what they want it to be, but they don't go around bashing windows and throwing a Molotov cocktail at police officers. They don't do that. That's a hard no-go. Whatever your frustration may be, killing others or attempting to kill other individuals is a hard no-go in my book. And I'm glad he got 10 years. I'm glad. He deserves it. He deserves 20. 10, 20, cool as jets. He's going to be out in less, no matter what. Unless he's just, shenanigans in jail. Who knows? Can't really control that. So I was just glad that a judge was like, okay, this is a pretty bad one. Yep. 10 big ones for you, young man. Cool those jets in prison. Don't bend over to pick up this up. Authorities say Malik F. Muhammad fashioned a Molotov cocktail out of a yellow glass beer growler or bottle. A cloth wick, an ignitable liquid, gasoline, maybe lighter fluid, propane, not propane. It's got to be ignitable, right? Although propane is lightable, but that is a gas, different than a liquid. Ignitable liquid that he hurled at police during 2 protests last year. Just before he sentenced Malik Fard Muhammad, a federal judge Tuesday wanted to understand what drove the 25-year-old man to hurl Molotov cocktails at police in Portland and break windows during mass protests in the city's downtown in 2020. That we were told by mainstream media was, mostly peaceful. Well, why do you got a guy going to jail for 10 years if it was mostly peaceful? Interesting. Yeah. Going to circle back to you on that one? Nah, we know, right? Everybody wants to know what happened with you, U.S. District Judge Marco A. Hernandez said. What's the dealio? What happened to you? How did this happen? The judge literally asks. Muhammad, who traveled with his girlfriend from Indiana to Portland during the height of the social justice protests 2 years ago, now stood in a blue jail smock in Hernandez's 15th floor courtroom beside a public defender. Lots of frustration with the system and frustration with not being heard, Muhammad told the judge. All right. Again, I go to you being frustrated doesn't equate to justifying hurling a Molotov cocktail and trying to kill police officers. That's not justified. That's a no-go, right? And you're frustrated with not being heard. Okay, there's plenty of other ways to make your frustrations heard, but for some reason, you came up with an extremely violent one to maybe do you feel like you've been heard now? Do you feel like it got through? Did the message get through? Was the message delivered? I'd love to know. Do you think you told people what you were thinking by going to prison for 10 years? Is that the message that you want heard? Yeah. He said he led peaceful protests at his home state of Indiana. Like the ones he did in Portland. I mean, mostly peaceful, except for the Molotov cocktail and smashing out of multiple windows. I mean, beyond that, mostly peaceful. And met with the governor there, but felt unheard. So he, did his thing in Indiana, but, they would have probably really thrown the book at him, right? But he felt unheard and dismissed, and things just escalated to a point that I can't take back. No, you escalated things that you can't take back. And now you're going to go to prison. Yeah. Weird how life works, right? Hernandez pressed further. The judge presses further. I mean, you're a bright guy. So I was just wondering, the judge he's coming at him from a slightly different angle. So I was, just wondering, I'm going to the bathroom and I'm just thinking through this case and I know I'm going to sentence you and pretty much going to end your life as you know it for right now. So I was just wondering what your thought process was that suddenly put you in a position where you thought that this was okay, that this was the thing to do, where people could get hurt or killed. I'm having trouble grasping how you got there. The judge literally asks this kid. I have trouble with it too, Muhammad responded. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I was manic at the moment. Blame the drugs. I wasn't on the medication. All right. So you got something going on. You're not taking responsibility, so you're going to blame everything else other than your own poor judgment. Your own poor judgment. Now you're going to pay for it. Assistant Federal Public Defender 𝐏𝐞𝐸𝐬 said Muhammad has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and post-traumatic stress and has been on medication since his federal arrest. I just regret my decisions, and if I could take them back, I would, Muhammad told the judge. I'm here now to atone for them. You know what? I bet you this guy, if he was in this exact same position again, and if he knew he could get away with it, this guy'd do it. He would, wouldn't he? He would do exactly what he did. He's not sorry at all. He's sorry he didn't take out a cop. That's what he's sorry for. Guaranteed. Federal prosecutor Adam Depth said Muhammad threw a Molotov cocktail that landed 15 feet from a police vehicle on September 5th, 2020, outside the Penumbra Kelly building in southeast Portland, and threw a similar device at a line of officers in downtown on September 23rd, 2020. So when people from the left tell you that it was mostly peaceful, you can pretty much cite that exact paragraph. Well, he threw a Molotov cocktail that got pretty close, and he threw another one at a line of officers. So if you're talking about mostly peaceful, do you mean like the flying Molotov cocktails kind of peaceful? Or, carrying flags down the middle of the street and in that kind of peaceful? I mean, because those are wildly different peacefuls, right? The Molotov cocktail that landed in front of the line of officers near the Downtown Justice Center created a large flame that scorched the uniform and lower leg of Portland police officer Dustin Barth near the intersection of Southwest 2nd Avenue and Main Street, according to court records. In October of 2020, Muhammad smashed out windows of the Oregon Historical Society. Okay. What are we even doing here? What are we even thinking? You smashed out windows of a historical society? And Portland State University. All right. So you're unhappy that, your learning process didn't go all that well. We get that. Portland State. All right. There's a higher education. F those guys. Let's bash out their windows. But the Oregon Historical Society, what do we got going on there? I mean, what are you doing there? And that's kind of like a church or a museum. I kind of consider those places off limits. I don't believe in vandalism or graffiti at all. I think it's horrible. I think it's not art. If you want to do it on a wall that's dedicated to just art, that's fine. But tagging up entire cities is just outright a crime, and it's ugly. You go into downtown Seattle now, and you start to enter into these areas where you're going to get there and you see all the tags that are up, and you're like, yeah, that's truly just ugly. I mean, this just looks like Escape from New York. Snake Plissken's going to come out of the shadows at any given moment, and he's going to do something great because he's a great, great character. He's almost as good as 𝐷𝐞𝐸𝐬, but they've got two different belief systems, and one can handle the post breakdown of American society, and the other one arguably probably created it. So there's that. All right. But anyway, supplying other rioters with baseball bats to break out downtown windows before running from police with a loaded handgun, according to Delph. This guy is a rioter. He's flat out a rioter, and he got what he had coming to him. I'm glad. I'm glad he's going to prison for 10 years, or however many he actually gets. He said Muhammad previously served in the U.S. Army. Okay. He could have used his skills to come into this district and be someone who could have led and righteously addressed issues of injustice. But he didn't. He further exacerbated the situation by trying to kill police officers and then take out windows of inanimate buildings that can't defend themselves. Nothing says justice like bashing out windows. I just never really got that one. I mean, doesn't make any sense. Nobody ever condemned it. And they're just like, well, since it's not a person, it's okay. We're all right with that. It's okay. The 10-year sentence, reached after plea negotiations between federal and state prosecutors and Muhammad's defense lawyer, should send a message of deterrence to others, 𝐏𝐿 said. All right. But this is literally like the first big one that I know of, right? As far as sentences go. When I saw 10 years, I'm like, good Lord. Really? Huh. We got the Supreme Court doing its thing with guns. 10-year sentence here? What's going on? CNN actually had a couple of news stories that made sense, that were accurate. Is the world coming to an end? I'm not sure. I have to circle back to you on that one. Yep. If you come into this district to sow discord, to commit further violence, and to exacerbate these issues, you'll be held accountable, 𝐏𝐿 said. Good. Well, we need more judges like him, right? We need more judges. Muhammad has forfeited the approximately $200,000 that the Portland Freedom Fund posted to bail him out of jail. All right. Portland Freedom Fund. After his initial arrest on state charges as restitution, according to his lawyer. So if you're not aware, there's these funds that are out there that gets these folks. And I know a lot of folks are going to say, you know what? Let's just, right now, why don't you tell me where you think these funds, who these funds are funded by in the comments of this video? Love to hear your theories. I get those all the time. I love to read each and every one of them because some of them are so crazy that they're probably true. Right? Right? A certain billionaire's name always comes up. He's funding it. He might well be. Probably is. I just love to hear everybody's opinion. Hey, this is what's going on. All right. So, yeah, $200,000 because his bail is like 2-point-something million. And so the Portland Freedom Fund posted bailed him out of jail after his initial arrest on state charges as restitution, according to his lawyer. The fund put up 10% or $212,500 of his $2.1 million bail. He was arrested on the federal charges 2 days later and returned to jail. Sorry, you got to go back. You're on federal charges now. The Freedom Fund is a nonprofit that provides resources to people incarcerated while awaiting trial. Should this guy be let out of jail? No. Hell no. Go straight to jail. Straight to jail. Prison. All right, so the prosecutor, 𝐏𝐿, he argues that Muhammad repeatedly endangered the lives of law enforcement officers. Yep, true, 100%. Caused thousands of dollars in property damage. All right, we're 2 for 2. All right. And encouraged others to commit violence. 3 for 3, in my opinion, guilty as charged. We've got him on video. I've got pictures. He did it. Go spend that time reimagining and rethinking your future that doesn't include doing this kind of nonsense. How about that? Prosecutors previously cited in court Muhammad's social media posts that promoted violence towards police officers in other cities, including Kenosha, Wisconsin, and Chicago, arguing that they revealed his anti-government, anti-authority, violent extremist ideology. All right. Sounds like most all of the other Black Lives Matter and Antifa members, doesn't it? Yeah. In one photo depicting events in Kenosha, Muhammad added a caption that read, "Kill cops, shoot back. We sow no justice, no peace. We mean no peace." I think that's quite clear. I think when you lobbed number 1 and number 2 Molotov cocktail at police officers, it became pretty clear that you were not on a peaceful mission. This was not actually peaceful protesting, that you were there to take people out. And so you got 10 years. As you should. So on others, Muhammad referenced a news story about Chicago gangs forming a pact to execute cops who drew weapons and wrote, "Shoot everybody, every opportunity you have." So he's talking about taking police officers out. This kind of guy needs to go away for a long time, as he is. This is where social media, it doesn't help people, right? You got those Twitter stories out there. You just get really worked up and real excited. And you're at a mostly peaceful protest that isn't mostly peaceful. And you get, you do this kind of stuff. And you're encouraging others to do it. I'm glad he got this. In federal court, Muhammad pleaded guilty to 2 counts of possessing unregistered destructive devices. All right. Federal charges of civil disorder, unlawful use of explosives, and possession of a firearm. Unlawful use of explosives and possession of a firearm. Those were dismissed. All right. You're going to take the fall on these charges. These other ones, we're going to let you off. We got a deal. Sounds like they cut a deal. In state court, he pleaded guilty in March to 4 counts of riot, 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder, 4 counts of criminal mischief, and 1 count each of manufacture of a destructive device, possession of a destructive device, possession of a firearm, and second-degree assault. You going to prison? Going to prison. Enjoy that ride. No, thank you. Hard pass. The sentence includes time for both the state and federal cases. The federal civil order disorder charge that was dismissed. All right, so we got the 10-year maximum penalty. And go on to say they took into account he's got some PTSD because he saw his Army lieutenant crushed by a tank during training in the United States Army. All right, but there's lots of other people in the military service who experience and they witness horrific things like war, and they don't go out and throw Molotov cocktails at police officers, nor do they break windows of, institutions of higher learning and, historical society. They just don't do that kind of stuff. So, you might have a little PTSD there. Okay. So get some help for that. Clearly you had, but then you went off your medication. At that point in time, it's kind of on you for making those decisions. The risk of law enforcement officer or community member being seriously hurt or killed by the actions of this individual was very real. That's what Portland Police Chief Chuck Lavelle said in a statement after the sentencing. I'm grateful to know that he is being held accountable for his actions, for the danger his criminal actions caused. I want to extend my sincere thanks to the investigators and prosecutors whose diligent, meticulous work made this sentence possible. Bottom line, dude's going to jail. All right. That's all you need to know. Going to jail. Enjoy that jail sentence. We got to be having some more of these cases come up because we're getting around that 2-year mark. We just passed the 2-year mark on George Floyd at the end of May. And we're in June now. So I think it's taken this long for the slow wheels of justice on a lot of these cases to end up with these results. But unfortunately, of the couple of $1 billion worth of damage across the United States from jokers like this, you're only going to see a handful of convictions of just the worst of the worst offenders. You're only going to see a handful of convictions because we just don't have the bandwidth to take all the folks that committed this stuff. I literally saw hundreds of people in downtown Bellevue, big mobs of people going down the sidewalk, breaking into stores, destroying private property. It was mob mentality. And down in Portland, we didn't see hundreds. You maybe saw 50. Maybe sometimes you saw 100. Maybe on the big nights, 100, 150, maybe 200, something like that on a big night. But man, the damage they caused. We had $1.5 million worth of damage on January 6th at the Capitol, country's capital. And then we've got a couple of $1 billion worth of damage done by the race riots of summer of 2020. I mean, I'm not saying either one of them was right. I'm not saying either one of them was good or should have happened. But when you put them in context of which one caused more damage and which one have we had hearings on for how long, this big investigation going on, they're going to try and get Trump. They're not going to get Trump. They're just not. It's just not. It's just not going to happen. That's just an incredible waste of resources and time. That's my opinion. It just goes sideways. But this guy gets 10 years. Good. I'm glad. You got what you bargained for. Mostly peaceful, of course. All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.